You know, if you're sitting there wondering what's really happening between you and this person, maybe stay with me and see what my cards have to say. These messages may be for you. Hello and welcome to You and Them, your weekly love reading with me, says Mina. As always, this is a collective reading, so take what resonates and leave the rest, and reverse the roles where you need to. Let's get started. So, the first thing we're going to look at is your person's current energy. Let's see what we've got. Okay, 10 of Cups. Oh, okay. So this actually matches up with a song that I was hearing while I was shuffling for you. It was PS5 by Salem Elise. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Alan Walker and Tomorrow X together. That's right, right? Yeah. So I'm getting the feeling that you feel like your person isn't putting in as much effort as they used to. Okay. You feel like their energy is on, their attention is on other things. It's like you've come out of the honeymoon phase. You feel like your relationship isn't a priority anymore. Um, and the Ten of Cups to me is a card of being comfortable. Okay. That's how your person is feeling right now. They feel comfortable in this relationship. But from your perspective, it's like they're too comfortable. They've got too comfortable, you know? But we'll see about your energy in a minute. Let's focus on your person. Uh, they see long term potential with you. They see this as a real relationship. They can see themselves in this relationship later on, definitely. But I feel like because of that, they don't feel the need to put so much effort into this relationship anymore because it's a done deal. Okay. It's like, yeah, this is my person, job done, you know? So yeah, they're definitely happy and they definitely feel safe in this relationship, but the main word I'm getting is comfortable. I think they've got a little bit too comfortable in this relationship. Let's see about your card now. Seven of Wands. Yeah, you definitely feel like they're not putting as much effort in as they used to, okay? Let me look at this for a second. I do feel like you're happy in this connection, but something's changed. I feel like you were happy with it the way it was before, before your person's effort dropped. I feel like what they were doing before or how your relationship was before that made you feel safe, that made you feel comfortable. Whereas now their energy or their effort in this relationship, it's dropped and you're not okay with this. You're like, why aren't I a priority? Why does it seem like our honeymoon phase is over? Where's your effort? So, this is also a card about boundaries. And I think that's what you're trying to do or what you're wanting to do right now. You're like, this isn't what I want. I want what we had before. Um, Actually, going back to the song for a minute, it could actually be that your partner is literally a fan of video games and plays video games. It doesn't have to be that. It could just be that they have a hobby or something that distracts them really easily. It could be their work as well. But I feel like when they start playing video games or they start doing this hobby or they start working, you're starting to feel a little bit invisible. And I'm getting that word comfortable again, like they're too comfortable. You feel like they just expect you to be there, to be convenient for them. And yeah, I'm seeing you wanting to set some boundaries there. And, you don't want to let them walk all over you. You don't want them to get comfortable being comfortable. So you are, I think, feeling kind of defensive right now. Um, But yeah, I'm hearing I want to go back to what we had before. Yeah, I feel like you've come out of that honeymoon phase and you're like, no, put the effort in, put the same effort you were putting in before. Go back to the way you were before. Okay, let's go back to your person now. If you're new to my channel, this side of the heart is your person, and the other side of the heart is you. Just a quick explanation there. Death and rebirth. Okay. So this is what your person is showing you right now. After this, we'll look at what they're not showing you or what they're hiding from you right now. But first things first. So they're showing you death and rebirth. This is a lack of effort, okay? They're showing you a lack of interest. They're making you feel like you're not a priority, right? They seem more interested in their video games or in their hobbies or in their work right now. Because it's like the honeymoon phase is over. And from your perspective, it's like they don't feel the need to put in as much effort as they used to. And you don't understand why. You don't get it. Because this can be a complete change in behavior. This can be a complete change in the dynamic. And that's what I think has happened. It's like maybe you two have been together for a while and yeah, it's like they've got too comfortable and don't feel the need to make as much effort as they did in the beginning. And because this card represents such an obvious change, I feel like it's so different from the way they were before. So maybe they used to get really dressed up for you, or maybe they used to, like when you first started dating, you felt like they cherished every second with you. Whereas now you feel a little bit invisible. Or maybe you got a lot of attention in the beginning. Maybe they did a lot for you in the beginning. Whereas now it's like they expect you to do things for them. I mean, yes, there should be equal give and take, but this is like a complete change of a dynamic. I'm getting something really specific now. It's like cleaning. Like they cleaned their apartment or their house before you got there in the beginning, whereas now you clean for them. So yeah, it's like a complete change in behavior, a complete change in effort, a complete change from how your relationship used to be. And I think this is because they're so comfortable in this connection, which is a compliment. It is a compliment if you think about it, but you know, it's like it is a compliment because they feel safe, but they also feel like they can drop their effort with you, and that doesn't feel like a compliment. That feels like an insult, right? That can also inspire anxiety too. It can leave you wondering what you've done. It can make them, y- you know, it can make you wonder what you've done to make them change. It can inspire anger, which can put a strain on the relationship. Okay, so let's see what you're showing them right now because I feel like we've sort of moved back into your energy. Oh, okay, Eight of Wands. So, yeah, we've got an imbalance of effort here. You're giving more than them. Well, this explains why you're feeling defensive and why you're feeling like they're walking all over you because you're giving your all. You're doing the most, you're spending that extra time with them. You're dressing up, you're doing the cleaning, or you're doing the flirting, you're giving, those signals. Um, I'm getting a specific message now. This could be something to do with sexual intimacy. Maybe they did the initiating in the beginning of the relationship, or it was like equal give and take. Whereas now you're doing most of, if not all of the initiating. That's very specific, but yeah, you're doing this because I feel like you're doing this because you want the effort that they were giving you in the beginning. You want that effort from them that they were giving you in that honeymoon phase. Like you want that back. I feel like you're texting them more at the moment or responding quicker to texts or calls, quicker than you used to. I am seeing some anxiety here coming from you. I do think right now you guys are struggling with thoughts like, what have I done? Why aren't they putting as much effort in? Is this me? Have I done something? Um, yeah, I'm definitely seeing some anxiety here, but um, it's like when you're with them right now, you're dedicating more energy and more time to the relationship. And especially if they're playing video games, I feel like you're trying to reach them through that. You're trying to learn more about the game or their interest or their hobby, even though you're not really that interested. You're trying to get a connection with them through that. Again, it doesn't have to be video games. It can be anything, but I feel like right now you feel like you have to fight for their attention. And I'm seeing with the Seven of Wands here that there's some resentment building up here because you don't think that this is okay. You don't think that this is right. You don't feel like you should have to fight for their attention. And I feel like the reason you feel that way is because that's the standard that they set in the beginning of the relationship. They set that standard early on, and you've got used to that standard. So now you feel like you need to be more direct or put more energy in than you did in the beginning. Um, yeah, I'm seeing that you've changed your behavior. And now, because you've changed your behavior and they've changed their behavior, it's like the entire dynamic has changed. And you don't like that. You're giving them extra attention to try and get what you had back. And it's like transformed the entire dynamic, trying to get back to that honeymoon phase, but it's just turned into something else entirely. Yeah, so there's definitely more going on here, but let me see what your person is hiding from you right now. I'm definitely curious to see what's caused such a dramatic change in their behavior because things were fine before. More than fine, I think they were good because your person has the 10 of cups. That's one of the happiest cards in the deck. So it was good, what's changed? Let's see. The Hierophant. Oh, okay. Okay. So this is the card of commitment. What's going on here? So I think they've got a lot on their mind right now. So I'm going to be completely honest here. Take this where it resonates. This isn't everyone's story, but it's possible that they're playing video games or another hobby, especially something from childhood, okay? Something that they did when they were little, to soothe their anxiety. Um, they're doing that because they might be planning on asking you to marry them. So again, that's very specific, but that's what I'm getting. That's what this card suggests, okay? This is the marriage or commitment card. So maybe it's not marriage. It could just be that they want you to move in with them or to be exclusive or another, I don't know, another step in your relationship. It could be meet their parents. I'm seeing a plane. Um, now that I'm saying that. So maybe you would have to travel to meet their parents. But yeah, that is why they've pulled their energy back because they're freaking out like crazy because they're planning something big. They're planning a big decision, a big surprise. And I think now that I've said that, you're like, oh my God, they do this. They do get a little distant when something big is happening or when they're feeling a little bit anxious or, when, yeah, when something is happening. Maybe they were a little bit shy in the beginning of your relationship, when they were thinking about asking you out. Yeah, I definitely think you're like, oh my God, they do this. They do retreat a little bit when they're feeling a little bit anxious. But yeah, I'm definitely getting the video games or whatever seems to be taking up so much of their attention right now is a distraction. It's a distraction from their anxiety. I think it helps them relax and it helps them slow down and sort out the a million thoughts that are going through their head right now. So, yeah, some of you might be getting a ring or a key or something. I'm seeing something shiny in a hand now. So, um, and there's also a message coming through about them overthinking the skin for a key. This is very specific. Like they want to pick the one that suits you or something. I don't know why I'm hearing that, but yeah, okay. So they're freaking out because they've got a big question to ask you. And it's like they've gone to something that helps them relax, okay? It helps them unwind and it helps them ease that anxiety and the stress that comes with planning this, planning to ask you this. And because of that, they're pulling their energy back. And I think that's why um, it's coming across like a lack of effort. Okay. Wow. Okay. Let's see what you're hiding from them now. Wasn't expecting that. The Five of Pentacles. Okay, so yeah, here's that anxiety, that feeling of rejection, that feeling of them pulling back, that lack of effort. Okay, so um you haven't let on how much this is upsetting you, right? Have you tried to sort of hide it and have you tried to tell them maybe you've tried to tell them in a jokey way, like, oh, it doesn't bother me that much, but, could you put that controller down just for 2 minutes, you know, or waving your hand in front of their face while their eyes are glued to that screen. I have a brother who games, so I've seen this, they're like in a trance, right? But yeah, you're really feeling the difference in their behavior. And I feel like you're struggling with putting this on them. Like, I think you're struggling with thinking to yourself, what have I done? That's what you're thinking. You're thinking, what have I done? Is this me? Do they feel like I'm not putting enough effort in? Are they matching my energy? And so you're doing more, you're making them dinner, you're dressing up, you're giving them that extra time, you're taking an interest in this game or this hobby, even though you don't really like it. And that's because you're worried that you're losing them or that you're losing the honeymoon phase. I think you're feeling really vulnerable right now. You're feeling exposed emotionally. I think you're reading into everything that they do and everything that they say. All the while, you're sort of hiding that you feel kind of alone at the moment and insecure and worried. Yeah, you're worried about what this changing behavior means. I think that Hierophant card probably made you breathe a sigh of relief. Maybe your brain has been going to scary places. It's no wonder though when they've completely changed, right? Like, what are you supposed to think when they're acting like this? Okay. So that's the two of you. Let me get a card on what's changing this week now. What do we have? Eight of Pentacles. Okay, so the first thing I'm seeing in this card is someone sitting alone. I've just this minute said that you feel that way right now. So, yeah, based on what I'm seeing here, with these cards at the top, I'm going to say that this is you. Um, this is coming through to me exactly the same as the Eight of Wands. This is you overcompensating. Okay, this is a card about effort. Okay, and um, this I think is you doing more to try and get that honeymoon phase back, but don't worry. This is actually what's causing the change. Okay. So I think you might be an anxious attachment. I think you're just going to keep trying and keep doing more until your person eventually notices. Okay. I don't think you want them to notice. I think you just want them to go back to normal, but your person is going to notice. That's what this card is telling me. Eventually, you will be doing so much that your person will be like, "Are you okay? Why are you doing so much?" Like, like I'm actually hearing panic from them. Like, did I miss an anniversary or something? Is today a special day? And you're like, no. And then they're going to be like, but then why are you doing all this for me? Because I think they've been so preoccupied with this question, this anxiety provoking question, that they haven't even, I don't think they've even realized how much this lack of effort, this lack of attention, this sudden fixation on video games or a hobby has freaked you out. Then I think they suddenly snap out of it for 5 minutes and they see you doing all this stuff. And I think at first they'll be like, what are you doing? Just leave it, come sit down. Just leave the washing up, or you don't have to dress up for me. You're beautiful as you are. But then their brain goes, oh, wait a minute. Are they okay? Why are they freaking out? Let me, yeah, let's get the next card and see where this goes. Oh, okay. Wow. We have the Five of Cups. So this is that realization. Okay. This is them going, oh my God, you know, y- you feel ignored. You feel like I'm losing interest. You're freaking out. And like I said, they're panicking. They're like, no, 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 of course not. This is something to do with me. I've got something on my mind. Of course it isn't you. I think once they snap out of their trance, they're going to freak out with you. Um, they're going to freak out because you're freaking out. Um they're also really stressed. Like, I think you're both secretly very stressed, for different reasons, but I think the emotions are very high right now. But yeah, this can be a card of regret. And this to me is your person regretting their behavior. Once they realize that they've stressed you out or they've made you think that you've done something, I think they're going to be like, oh my God, I had no idea, it didn't even occur to me. It's just, yeah, with that 10 of cups energy, things are so good between us that I felt able to do this. I felt comfortable enough with you to do this, but yeah, I'm hearing I'm sorry, that I didn't explain. I'm sorry I just pulled back and that I made you worry. I'm sorry that I made you feel like you had to overcompensate to, get my attention back. Yeah, I just keep hearing I'm sorry, but let's get the next card here because I feel like there's more going on. I feel like maybe even after that, you're going to feel the need to carry on and keep overcompensating. I think it might take a bit of convincing before you feel okay enough to sort of drop your effort. I'm definitely getting anxious attachment from you. Let's get the next card. Six of Swords. Okay, so Six of Swords. So this is your person. Okay, this is them sitting you down and reassuring you that it's not you, that their behavior is nothing to do with you. The change, the pulling back, the lack of effort, it's nothing to do with you. It's because they're in their head about something. Um, I don't actually see them revealing what's on their mind. Again, with that Hierophant energy, they don't want to spoil that surprise. But at the same time, they see you worrying and they don't want you worrying. So I'm seeing some reassurance here, but it's reassurance without blowing the surprise. It will be things like, of course I still want to be with you. Of course I still love our relationship. Of course we can spend more time together. Of course, I can put this controller down. It's like, yeah, this is you. I think once your person has realized that you're overcompensating, and once they've convinced you that you don't have to do that, you're going to be um opening up to them and saying, but you seem distant, you aren't giving me the same attention, but things have changed. And I think at first your person is going to be like, what do you mean, and then it's going to be like, oh, and then it's like, oh no, and then it's like, no, 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 of course not. It's like, um they're going to be like, it's me, I'm freaking out about something. And I felt comfortable enough to pull back. I felt comfortable enough to indulge in one of my hobbies, but I didn't mean to make you feel this way. um and I think there's mutual care here, because it's like they don't want to bother you with this anxiety that they're feeling for obvious reasons, especially if it's a proposal. They can't just say to you, I'm freaking out because I want to ask you to marry me, or I want to surprise you with a key to my place. That, they can't just say that. Um, and I think you feel the same way. You feel like you need to give more, and you don't want to. I think you struggle to point out any problems in a relationship or anything you're not happy about. I feel like maybe you struggle to voice any concerns. Maybe you struggle with that again. Anxious attachment coming through here, but it's like you would prefer to give more instead of saying, are we growing apart? But yeah, I'm seeing a discussion between you two about your fears and their recent behavior, and you being reassured and feeling much better during and after that discussion. Let me get a card for that. Three of Pentacles. Okay. So this is you two coming together, okay, and fixing this. This is a card of teamwork, communication. Um, this, I think, is the action after that discussion. And so this can be a card of planning. This is you two, I think, planning dates and planning time together. This is you two getting back to a point where it feels like that honeymoon phase again. Um, so going back to your person for a minute, where they're sort of channeling their anxiety into something soothing, I think they're going to be redirecting that need for distraction, because like I said, they are freaking out. Okay, they are freaking out about asking you about this next step, asking you that question. But I think after seeing how freaked out you were by their sudden change of behavior, they're going to be distracting themselves from this stress with dates or spending time with you instead of video games, because they'll understand now how that looks and how that makes you feel. Because they feel so happy and so safe when they're with you that they can use that to ease their anxiety. I think they just got a bit too comfortable for a minute there, and maybe forgot to sort of check in with you. But they're back. Okay, they're putting that effort back in, and they'll be changing this video game or this hobby time to when you aren't with them, a more convenient time, or maybe they'll be reducing it, or at least letting you know beforehand that they're just chilling. They're just gaming. You know, they're not mad, they're not losing interest, they just need some time to decompress from life, you know, or they need some time to decompress from work, family, or something else. I don't know. But they'll be sure to reassure you after this discussion that it's nothing to do with you. Um, Now that they know your fears, because they definitely don't want you feeling that way, you know, they don't want you feeling the way you're feeling right now. And I think you'll be changing your behavior too. You know, you'll be going back to matching their energy instead of overcompensating. I do feel like that's going to be gradual, because I think it's going to take you a while to sort of feel okay again. But after this talk, I do feel like you're going to feel much more relaxed and much more comfortable, and you'll be moving. You'll both be moving into a healthy dynamic again. You'll be feeling like you're back in that honeymoon phase again soon. I'm sure of it. Let's get your Yeah, I think that's it. Let's get your last card now. We have the Five of Swords. Okay, so this is what I was talking about with you. This is that lingering anxiety. Only because I think it's going to take you some time to feel okay again after this scare. And obviously, your person is they're preparing themselves for a big surprise, a proposal or a key for their place, whatever it is. Um, it's like, you know, after an intense talk in a relationship, it can take a while to get things back to normal, to get things back on track. That's all this card is saying, I think. It's not anything to worry about. I do think that um, this discussion will stay with your person. You know, I think that's something they're going to have in the back of their mind. You know, that they need to be um, careful and a bit more aware of what a pulling back of their energy or a lack of effort and what that can do to you and how that can make you feel. Um, and I think because of that, then you're going to feel bad for bringing it up and, you know, worrying that maybe you shouldn't have said anything, that maybe you shouldn't have made such a big deal. You should have, you know, definitely you should voice concerns in a relationship, but with anxious attachment, sometimes confrontations can be difficult. um but yeah, it's definitely a week for difficult conversations, for vulnerable conversations, but it's needed. And remember, you do have a big step coming in this relationship, okay? Because your person went into their video games or their hobbies because they're freaking out about a very serious question they want to ask you. So, engagement or a key to their place or something else, but you have definitely got something to get excited about. I don't know how soon, but it is definitely on the way. And yeah. All right. That's all that's coming through here. I'm going to leave it there. I hope this gave you something to think about, and I hope it helped you in some way. But for now, I'll see you in my next reading. Take care.